Welcome to Celebrating Act Two, where Manny Pacheco of Forgotten Hollywood is going to be talking to us about what, John?
It's part three of our great series of Forgotten Hollywood's top three films in Manny. How many categories are we doing?
We're doing 10 categories or 10 genres.
10 genres.
Yeah, and we've already done what? Film noir, the top three of film noir. We also did the top three of westerns.
Yep.
And
And
that was
art.
fun.
Art has been keeping the secret of what today's genre
So
is going.
today's genre, the winner is top three Oscar winners.
The
Top
best
three
pictures.
Oscar winners.
Yeah, the best pictures of all, the best pictures, the best of the best.
Wow, this is a tough cat. Now we're dealing with the studio era. So 1930 to, I think you said 67
Right.
is the classic big studio era. But wow, the top Academy Award winners for Best Picture in those years, that's a lot to choose from. That's tough.
The top three
Yeah.
are big. They're important to me, and I like them. And I think one's a big surprise, but we'll get to it in a second.
Okay.
I
Okay.
will say this: if Art's thinking that, oh well, then Citizen Kane's got to be in this list, and it
No,
wasn't
no,
because it didn't win the best picture.
My hand has been slapped. It is going into a sling.
No. It lost to How Green Was My Valley, so no, it did
Oh,
not.
that's right. That's
It
right.
did
Yeah.
not make the best. Yeah, so it's not going to be one of the best.
Right.
And the honorable mention for me, the one that just missed, there is one that just missed, and that is that classic 1960 movie, Billy Wilder, just absolute free for all with Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, and Fred MacMurray, The Apartment.
Wow.
And that's just
Great,
one of. I mean, it
great
has
movie.
a great score.
Yeah.
That was a hit for Ferrante and Teicher in 1960. The last
Sure.
until The Artist and Schindler's List, the last of the black and white films to make the Best Picture Oscar. So yeah, it's a great film. Just missed my top three, and I know I'm leaving one out that we will talk about at the end. But at number three is probably my most controversial of my best Oscar picks because on many people's lists that I've seen about the best Oscars of all time from like 1927 to today,
Yeah.
one usually ranks over the 95 years or so. This one usually ranks around 90 or 91.
Wow.
Yeah, but I love it. I think it was masterful for what it did. I absolutely would have picked this movie out of the generally regarded one that probably should have made it, and that is Around the World in 80 Days.
No kidding.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's a fabulous film. David Niven,
Wow.
Floss, Shirley MacLaine again,
Right.
and just a cavalcade of cameo appearances, including Red Skelton, Marlene Dietrich, George Raft, John Carradine. I mean, the list just goes on and on. And Charles Boyer,
Yeah.
John Gielgud, Trevor Howard.
Oh, yeah. Well,
International cast. It was one of the most expensive films ever made. It employed more modes of travel than any other film in history. Up to that point, the most actors that ever appeared in any one film. Some people thought that maybe the Ten Commandments should have won. But they had already given DeMille an Oscar for the greatest show on earth a couple of years back. I love the Ten Commandments, but I actually love Around the World in 80 Days more. And I know I'm going to get pushback. A lot of people are going, "What?"
yeah. I remember, Manny, I remember when it came out, there was a lot of controversy. Mike Todd did it,
Right.
and it was what they call in the business a stunt film. In other words, all he did was gather every name under the sun in Hollywood, and he threw everybody in there. It was a dramatic version of Mad World.
Except it was done first.
Yeah, but it just threw everybody in there, and people will come.
Yeah.
Tell me about why you love the story.
Well, I love the fact that it's Jules Verne.
Yeah.
I love that David Niven's portrayal is absolutely pitch perfect.
Well,
I mean,
it's great. Yeah.
if you think of Basil Rathbone as Sherlock Holmes, you've got to think of David Niven as Phileas Fogg. He is perfection when it comes to the character created by Jules Verne. Cantinflas literally won a Golden Globe for his comedic performance in this. Took an international star who everybody outside of Mexico had really never heard of, and made him an international star, not just a star in the States. And he had a run there where Charlie Chaplin at one point said that he may be the funniest man on the face of this earth. And that's saying a lot when Charlie Chaplin says it.
Yeah, you bet.
So, that's all you need to know about this film, but you're right. It has everybody under the sun in this film, and it is exquisitely made by a man who would die a year later in a plane crash, and he happened to also be married to Elizabeth Taylor. So there's a huge pedigree to this movie.
Yeah, one of the few that she never divorced.
No, she did not divorce him.
Yeah.
No, he died. He actually died. She was
all right. If I had a black handlebar mustache, who am I from Around the World in 80 Days? Remember, was it Professor Death? Professor?
Oh, that's The Great Race.
Oh, I'm mixing up my films.
Yeah, that was on the 81st day. They rested and Professor Death. Let's go on to number 2.
John, you pulled an Art Hirsch.
In 80 Days, he rescues the girl from the burning fire.
No,
that's Around the World.
That's what he does. He does.
Well, all I can say, Manny, is I hope Around the World, and I hope.
Around
Never
the World.
mind.
Yes.
All right, how we move on to number 2?
Yeah, let's go to number 2, and this one's an all-time classic.
Okay.
And this one has a really great backstory as well. Betty Davis, maybe her finest role, All About Eve. It is an absolute. It was nominated for more Oscars than any other movie in the studio era, except that it was tied with Gone with the Wind for the most Oscar nominations. It wins 6 Academy Awards, 6. And it was up against Sunset Boulevard. Betty Davis was in competition with Gloria Swanson and her co-star Ann Baxter. Of course, the award went to Judy Holliday for Born Yesterday. But I think they split the vote because Sunset Boulevard and All About Eve are such good films. But All About Eve was that Broadway darling. You know, if Sunset Boulevard's poking fun at Hollywood, All About Eve is poking fun at Broadway. And I mean, you know, that bumpy ride that Betty Davis talks about, we're going to have a bumpy night, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a superb screenplay, and the person who delivers the best lines himself wins an Oscar, and that is the great George Saunders, who plays Addison DeWitt, the critic. Yeah. And of course, his entourage includes a very small role. Of course, he's mentoring Marilyn Monroe, who's also in this film as well, who cannot get past her audition, and she gets violently ill, or as George Saunders says, she gets sick to her tummy. And it's just loaded with great lines. It is, I think, absolute perfection, except for the film that I'm going to mention at number 1.
Okay, I can't wait.
And that number is?
Well, it would be very easy for me to say something like Gone with the Wind, wouldn't it? It would be.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to, no. Gone with the Wind's in my top 10, but no.
And I wrote it down, so thank you very much.
Oh, no, when I say what it is, you'll go, oh, okay, you're forgiven. This is one I'm going to actually get forgiven for. Number 1 for me, obviously, is number 1 on my list of top 1,000. It's actually number 1 on my list.
Wow.
Casablanca.
Oh, okay.
You're forgiven.
You're forgiven.
Forgiven?
You're forgiven.
I mean, how do you not have Casablanca? It's got everything. Forgiven. It's got great acting, great story writing. It's got intrigue. It's got documentary footage. It's got melodrama. It's got shades of film noir, and it's got Bogey. It's got Bergman and Paul Heinried and Conrad Veidt and S.Z. Sakal and Peter Lorre and Sidney Greenstreet, and the list goes on and on and on. And it has this wonderful story of unrequited love, and a beautiful friendship at the end between Claude Rains and Humphrey Bogart.
And a great closing line.
Yes, absolutely.
And not to mention the special effects.
Yeah, there are special effects in this movie.
The airplanes were really, I mean, the airport stuff was really awesome.
The way they did that was small.
If you consider fog,
it was a great
effect,
It was.
And it's filmed at Van Nuys Airport, which is really wonderful. I mean, when you know that. And it's just got all the great lines. Here's looking at you, kid. Play it.
Yep.
You know, of all the gin joints in all the world, she walks the mine. You know, all of these great. Here's looking at you, kid. Round up the usual suspects. You know, it's got everything. How is it not number one?
Well, you know, Manny, I'm surprised that it is number one on your list because let's say it pales in comparison to the wild show business of Around the World in 80 Days. You know?
Yeah, but like you said, most people see that as a stunt film, and I think you really nailed that. You made the argument. But I mean, nobody's gonna look. There are people who like Gone with the Wind more than Casablanca, or Casablanca more than Gone with the Wind, and I'm sure they're going to be our viewers are going to say, well, how come it's not in the top three at least?
Yeah,
I think it's like numbers 5 or 6. I think
on
it's right,
your list. Yeah,
it's just missing. I think it's right behind Bridge on the River Kwai, which is another just great film. So I mean,
absolutely.
you know, I mean, it's these are great films. They're best pictures of the year.
I mean, it's a tough comparison between them all.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's really surprising. I'm going to close with this.
Okay.
I have a top. I've compiled a list of my top 1,000 films. My top 1,000 films between 1930 and 1967. Between 950 and 1,000, there are 5 more Best Picture movies.
Wow.
That just made my list.
Yeah.
5 of them.
Interesting.
5 of them. And I mean, they include The Sound of Music, Ben-Hur, How Green Was My Valley, Marty. You know, these were all that, and The Greatest Show on Earth. These are movies that just made my list.
Wow.
On the other side, we're talking the cream of the crop. So those are the Best Picture Oscars. Those are my top 3 for Forgotten Hollywood's top 3.
Wow, can't wait till the next episode.
Me too.
For more on Celebrating Act Two, visit our webpage, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and tell your friends. Celebrating Act Two is the user manual for the second half of your life.